Hello. This drawing is one of my drawings from Margaret Week. I think between this one and the Margaret Ophelia one, I'm not sure which one is my favorite. But I do really like this one, specifically because it captures the moment where Travis first sees Margaret and Nordia. If you haven't listened to Campaign Skyjacks, you might not exactly know what I'm talking about. It's basically when Travis sees Travis, one of the player characters, sees someone from his past, or who he thinks is someone from his past, for the first time in decades, or someone who looks like her. And this is just sort of the moment I wanted to capture, sort of when he says the person's name, and this new person sort of turns around and is like, who are you talking to? And that sort of moment and what Travis sees, so it's sort of from his perspective. And it takes place at a luminary temple, which is a part of the folk traditions of the sort of Skyjacks universe. And yeah, I looked up a lot of different sort of pagan altar practices and religious practices, and sort of the altars that they keep. Specifically in Nordic tradition, they carve small wooden statues. There's some larger ones as well, but a lot of people who keep altars in their homes, they'll have smaller wooden statues that are maybe about a foot tall. I couldn't quite tell because I was obviously looking at photos, but I thought those were very cool and beautiful, so I sort of designed these to be similar statues that people would leave offerings to, and I wanted it to be full of color and life and to be very beautiful, and the sort of sun in the background and the iconography that I tried to use to differentiate between each of the statues are present in the luminary cards in an Illimat deck, and I tried to use those the red and yellow colors that are on the back of the card sort of throughout. So a lot of the flowers and fabric that's sort of wrapped around the stone and hanging from the stone are that red color. And so is the cloth that is on the tables on the altar. And yeah, the only big description that they sort of gave in the podcast itself is that it's sort of open air, and that there's the offering table and the table that people can sort of do an Illimat luminary card reading, and that's basically it. So I had a lot of fun sort of creating this tranquil but colorful and full of life environment where people can just sort of spiritually and religiously meditate, and also create an atmosphere for the moment where they sort of make eye contact, and sort of that making eye contact at someone across a room sort of vibe, and how the lights sort of shining down on her and creating this halo effect. That's one thing that I didn't think was super accurate. I can't remember what time of day that the Uhuru got to Nordia, but I'm pretty sure that like since it was raining a lot, the sun probably wasn't out like this. But you know me, I love that sweet, soft, golden hour atmosphere effect. And yeah, that's pretty much what this is about. They did say also in the podcast that it did look sort of run down and old, so then that's where sort of the cracks in like the stone and foundation sort of came in, and how like weathered and old it is. Then, you know, people still come to like bring offerings and like clean it up and make it pretty and pay their respects and things. Yeah, I spent too much time sort of going into the details of each flower and each sort of like, I planned out each offering that they would get. I was like, okay, so the rake would get a lot of money, the maiden would probably get things like flowers, and I even added like slips of paper, like where someone would like offer like literally like a love letter that they wrote for someone but didn't want to give it to them, and so then they would offer it to, you know, the maiden or the union. You know, I even have like a pair of like rings that are next to the union. Like I like planned all of that stuff out. And I have like a doll and like a baby blanket next to the children. You know, a bunch of things like that. And then there's obviously things like small like tangerines, and like just small bits of food, or just, you know, money that people would offer, even like some of their own luminary cards that they made. Yeah, I planned that out a lot, and I was trying to like think of not only what are common offerings that people, you know, generally make, you know, like food, money, alcohol, things like that, but also, you know, what specific people would give to that specific luminary. Yeah, that's pretty much what I did for this one. I haven't, this is a little bit about me. I haven't drawn in a while, but I have been crocheting. I'm filming this at the beginning of January 2020. I think it's, what is it, the 14th? The 15th right now? No, it's the 14th. Yeah, and since November, December, I was crocheting because I was making a bunch of Christmas presents, but now I'm just crocheting a bunch, just because it's so fun. But I do remember making illustrations like this, and I want to get back into it, but I also want to do like character designs. Like I want to start drawing people better, because while I have people in these drawings, they're not always the focus. Like Margaret's at the center, but like your eye's drawn to so many different things in this, and like her anatomy isn't the best, but you can't really tell that because so many different things are going on, and she's covered by like her hair and like the bench that she's sitting on, so you can't really tell like if the proportions are off, and if it is, like what. Yeah, so I just want to get better at drawing people and like having that stylistically down, and then putting people in environments once I get better at that. So I'll just sort of like take a step backwards and like focus up, and then do some more background stuff. I want to do like character designs for characters from Skyjacks, sort of like if they would be in a comic book or something like that, then what would they look like? And yeah, after this one, I'm going to do a voiceover of a comic that I actually made for Skyjacks that also happens in this specific arc towards the end of it with Travis and Margaret. Yeah, I love comics to death, and it's, one of those aspirational things that a lot of people have, like, oh, make a comic. But then when I get down to it, I just don't think I have that type of patience for it. I'm not sure why making this for 20 hours was different than making 4 pages of a comic for 20 hours. But it's just like a different switch in your brain, I think, similar to like animating. Like, some people have the patience to like paint a painting for months and paint the same oil painting, but the mindset of animating one thing for months is completely different. And they both take completely different skill sets. And I think I gear more towards the painting for 20 hours. But I do love comics and animating, and I want to try learning that skill set. Even if it's rudimentary and I don't necessarily create a passion for it. Yeah. But currently, right now, I'm crocheting a shawl, like a big green shawl that I could wrap around. Since I live in a warmer climate, making things that are like super thick sweaters and blankets doesn't, like, they seem incredibly fun to make, but I wouldn't really be able to utilize them the way that someone who lives in a colder climate might, which is a shame because I love them to death, and I can't wear them without dying of heat stroke. So, but things like shawls and like little plushies or bags or things like that are the things that I've been making and I've been really enjoying. Yeah, that's basically it. I believe, like I said, this drawing took upwards of 20 hours, just because of how many times I sort of went over the line art, which I did too often. I think I did it 3 or 4 times. Because I wanted it to be perfect. But, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it until we get to the coloring. So for the coloring, I basically used, over the course of doing Margaret Week, I slowly started accumulating a more complex color palette. So they all looked pretty cohesive, but obviously for something like this, I had to have like several different sets of gray and green, and then the like luminary orange and yellow that I had to use. And yeah, over the course of this, I just sort of started adding new colors to that. And I think I amassed something that like is very versatile, but then also makes all of the other pieces sort of look cohesive, which I think is very nice. I feel like maybe the only outlier is the Nordia comic, just because it has sort of the dark blue base instead of the sort of light green. But I think it really sets the tone of it, since it's like a very like dark and very stormy scene. Like it's like everything's flooding and they have to swim across the giant river. So I think that adds to the tone. Now I'm talking about a completely different piece. For this one, I am just blocking in the colors right now, just adding all of the greens and the light gray, and then trying to differentiate between the different levels in the altar, because there's like the higher level of it, and then the lower level, and then there's the table. So then I just sort of added that like orange, red, purple gradient, and then the yellow sun at the top. I think it's very nice. And I was just trying to keep sort of Margaret and the luminary statues as sort of the central brightest point, and everything else is sort of complementing and like framing them. And all of like the stone towers and sashes and flowers are just framing Margaret and the luminary altar. And then after I sort of get all of the offerings and the different statues colored in, I use different types of brown, so you can see like there are different types of wood. Some of them are older than others, for various reasons. Some of them are more weathered, some of them are newer. And then here's where I sort of added the just different color overlays for the lighting, and just really trying to frame Margaret and the luminaries and sort of a nice just sun glow, and just trying to like make it look very ethereal, but not too crazy. And so you can see that I like push and pull those values a lot. Like I add some light here and then erase it, and then add it and erase it, and then I add the value to sort of add that contrast, to try and see where I need more lighting. And yeah, a lot of the times the shadows and stuff like that, you just gotta play around with them and see what works. I think it turned out, really nice. I think this is one of the, like the thing that I love about this piece so much is the lighting, which is funny since, over 10 hours of it was just me, doodling flowers, and like all of the little tiny intricacies of all of the offerings, and the lighting took me maybe like 2 or 3 hours, compared to the rest of it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm almost run out of these sort of backlog speed paints, so I gotta get to drawing more. But yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Oh god. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Go eat your favorite food. Go take a walk. Go pet a cute animal. Go and get coffee with your friend. go, what's another fun thing to do? Go to a bookstore, specifically one of those bookstores where one of the employees is a cat. God, I wish I had one of those near me. Go to a bookstore where one of the employees is a cat and think of me. Anyway, that's the finished piece. I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye.